It's my pleasure to welcome Sunghoon Kim, Associate Professor at the University of Sydney Business School, Australia, whose paper was recently published in Human Resource Management. The paper title is Strategic Human Resource Management in the Era of Algorithmic Technologies, Key Insights and Future Research Agenda. Sunghoon co-authors are Violetta Khoreva, Assistant Professor at Hanken School of Economics, Finland, and Vlad Vaiman, Professor at California Lutheran University, USA. Welcome to the interview with me with HRM.
Thank you.
Why is your study important? What is the problem that led you to research this?
So this paper is a review piece on the theme of algorithmic technology that includes artificial intelligence, how and what implications these technologies have on human resource management, research, and practice. This work actually started as an introductory paper for a special issue that we three co-authors co-edited. So it is partly sort of introduction of a special issue that has 5 great papers in it, but it is a standalone review paper that looked at this current status of our knowledge on an intersection between artificial intelligence and algorithm and human resource management. And if the question is why this study is important, why this review paper, we believe makes significant contributions. A couple of reasons. First, it is because AI and algorithm technologies is so important these days. I think people can easily agree with us on this. And a lot of work, a lot of research is actually being done on this topic. The number of papers being published on this theme is literally going up, and almost like rocket is being launched over the last couple of years. We see a lot of work, a lot of enthusiasm is in this topic. So the importance of theme itself is importance of our work, but more importantly, we need good guidance, given that we will spend a lot of energy and time on this topic. We acknowledge that there are already multiple review papers out there, but we see great need to write our own review on this for 2 reasons. The first, we have closely read all those existing reviews on the similar topics, and because technology has moved so quickly, we in our field, if a paper was published in recent 5 years, it's still very current. But in this area, review pieces published in 2022, for instance, missed a lot. Why? ChatGPT was published, made available in November 2022, and before 2023, essentially it didn't exist. So any technology that take into account this large language model or ChatGPT type of generative AI has not been covered at all in the review papers we can easily find in our literature. Although they're only a couple of years old, there's great need to update our knowledge given the advancement of technology and given the advancement of literature. And more importantly, there's a need for identifying some ways to make lasting contributions to the literature, not just write papers for publication to the topic that everybody is interested in. We want to make contributions that can make significant contributions that will last, not forgotten in a couple of years when the enthusiasm on particular technology goes off. We want to understand what would be a good way to make really meaningful and lasting contributions to the literature. So that was a kind of goal we had in mind when we do this review piece.
Great. And what did you find?
So overall, we see interesting continuity in the way researchers address this issue of algorithmic technologies and artificial technologies in the context of human resource management. We built on 2021 paper. Actually, I was one of the co-author of the paper that nicely reviewed 60 years of scholarly history on the topic of human resource management and technology. So artificial intelligence and algorithm technology, we are really interested in these days, but that was not the first technology HR research community were excited about. There were, we gone through the internet, we gone through the coming of personal computer. We went through microcomputer, which in today's standard is not micro, but at that time, if you have a computer that fit into one room, that was called microcomputer. So we went through multiple rounds of technological development, and when there is a major change and introduction of new technology comes in, there are actually huge interest on that technology, and research community in HR have done a lot of great work already on those technologies. So Kim et al. 2021 paper reviewed the 60 years of endeavor to understand the implication of technologies on human resource management. And one of the things we did in our own review here is to see and compare to what we have done, whether we are doing something really new or whether we are doing, of course, different things, but somewhat a similar way we have done with previous technologies. And what we found was the first general answer to the question of whether we are repeating ourselves in terms of addressing the technologies at a high level, the answer was yes. So in what way? This Kim et al. 2021 offers really nice ways to see the repeated patterns of addressing the issue of technology in HR scholarship. So they offered this framework of 3x3 framework, so 3 major themes. So when they address, over the last more than 60 years of history, when HR scholars address new technologies, they tend to look at 3 major themes, sub-themes. The first one is how new technologies change the work structure, how the work is organized and being implemented. The second major theme is how that new technologies change the way HR services and activities are being delivered. And the third theme was the new forms of new type of technology workers emerges when new technology comes in. And then these new type of workers requires different ways to be managed. So these new type of people need new type of people management techniques and concerns. So the third theme is new technological workers, how to deal with them. So these major thematic areas has been repeated when in early 1960s, for instance, when electronic data processing idea came in, they talk about those things. When internet was made available, when every HR practices may have E in front of it, so EHR, e-learning. So they talk about those things. When mobile technologies began to change a lot of things, they talk about those 3 things. And now with this AI, they also address these 3 major themes. Of course, they use slightly different languages, but they obviously look at those 3 major themes. And another dimension Kim et al. 2021 offered as a major kind of repeated pattern of addressing this technology topic in HR scholarship is three ways, three major assumptions or perspectives about technology. So technology can be viewed in three ways. First, it can be viewed as a tool. So tool view of technology means when you see this cell phone, it is a tool. It's designed to be a phone, and that was the intention of the designer. And the assumption is when technology is designed in a certain way, it will be used in that way. It is a completed, predetermined set of technologies. When I give this phone to my father, the ownership of that technology moves with it, right? So if you take this assumption, certain HR technologies, for instance, HR analytics, as a package, the technology is designed to do certain things. And when a technology vendor sells that product to another company, the ownership of the technology moves completely, and it should serve the purpose that was designed to serve. So if companies spend their money to adopt data analytic technologies, it should produce the result that was intended to produce. And if a scholar take this view of tool view of technology, the interest is more about how that certain technologies will produce the result that was designed to produce. So for instance, AI is designed, AI-based recruiting tools will produce certain outcome. They're interested in whether the outcome really come out in that way. So you can design and study things like that. So that's the tool view of technology. Another major view of technology is what they called proxy view of technologies. So proxy view of technology put more emphasis on the human agency, agency of the users of the technology. So this is a phone. For me, this is a great device that helped me to find information, as well as this is not just the phone, this is a smartphone. And with this, I do a lot of things. But my father, this is just a phone. So phone may have different meanings depending on the users. And if I hit someone with this phone, it may become a weapon. Right? So it may no longer be a phone, but it could be a weapon. Right? So designer may have their own idea, but users may change the meaning, the usage of the technologies, or they may resist to use it. So over the last over 60 years of history, HR scholars try to understand why certain technology was adopted into organization and employees would resist to use it, or they change the way the technology is being used. So for instance, interesting topic in the past when online technology, internet technology became a hot topic, scholars examined cyberloafing, for instance. So the online technology, internet is such a great tool, but it's being used for different reasons, and it produces different outcomes. And sometimes employees actively resist to adopt certain things. Whenever new technology comes in, users' acceptance of the technology has been a major issue. Those kind of concern has been repeated in relation to AI. So when AI comes in, there's interesting concept of AI aversion. So AI aversion means people would like to rely on human advice rather than algorithms advice, even when they recognize that AI may produce better advice. They know AI can do things better, but they would like to use humans rather than AI for various reasons. So that's an interesting phenomenon, and it's a new phenomenon, but it is sort of in line with what we have done over the last 60 years, understand the user's agency toward the technology. And the third theme, what they call ensemble view of technology, highlight this social context that shapes the meaning and interpretation of technology. So for instance, again, this is my phone, but this phone to my father may mean different things. This brand new, very expensive phone, and my son gave it to me as a gift. It means, well, he may not use all those functions there, but he's very proud of the phone. He may to his friends, hey, this is a love that symbolizes love of my son, right? And it symbolizes that he is exposed to most current technologies, although he is not using it much, right? So it has different social meanings. So for instance, in organizations, when they adopt new technologies, CEO and CFO may have imagination that they are spending their money to improve their productivity, but maybe what is happening is just to show who has the power in the organization. As when new technology comes in, it may means the adoption of certain technology may means that you demonstrate your allegiance or compliance to certain social regulation, regulatory or institutional environment, rather than enjoying the benefit of the technology itself. So technology always has it may be enacted into different things depending on the interactions people have within and across organizations. So that kind of view of technology has been examined over the last 60 years and is coming back when new technologies such as AI came in. So to make a long story short, with this AI new technologies, yes, we have seen new themes and new research topics emerged. Hugely interesting work has been done, but at the same time, we sort of repeated what we have done. So that's on the one hand is assuring, but on the other hand, there could be more we can do rather than just repeat what we have done with slight change of languages.
So that actually really nicely leads to my next question, which is, why does that matter theoretically?
So this review, when we wrote this review, our primary audience is, of course, academic community. So we wanted to help today's and future scholars to identify, first of all, help them to understand what is the current map of the knowledge we have. But at the same time, we really wanted to help them to identify more promising research avenues. Of course, we want to spend our time, our very precious time, wisely. So there are many options we can take when we are interested in studying this new topic. But what would be a topic that may help them to make enduring and lasting impact? So our review paper, we believe, can help them to identify certain topics. And we also thought about these emerging new scholars, including PhD students, who are really excited about these new technologies. Not only AI technologies, AI technology we are really interested in now, but maybe 5 or 6 years later, we may come across very different technologies that we don't have even name for it. But given what we have observed over the last 60 years, and also with this case of AI, there might be questions we have to ask, like or not, we have to ask as an HR scholar. these young emerging scholars may start looking at these new technologies with the help of what has been done in the past, as we summarized and integrated in our review. So what would it be the contribution we intend to make in the academic community? We really want to help. We want to give really practical guidance to our future scholars to reflect on their research agenda and also identify good research topics.
Finally, there is a question related to the practice. So what do your results mean for HR policy or the practice of HR?
Right. So again, our primary or first line of audience, intended audience, is academic community and scholars who want to do good research and want to understand where we are on this topic. But our review, I think we believe can help practitioners as well. So first, since AI is such an important thing, and so many organizations spending tons of money with the hope of improving their sustainable competitive advantage with these new technologies, or some of the managers are being fearful about what it can do and should do, and policymakers are also sometimes quite worried about the negative potentials of these technologies. So our review offers really nice review of the current status of how AI is being used in the context of human resource management, employment relations, and it helps practitioners, managers, and policymakers to understand some specific areas AI is actually impacting. So, for instance, as a tool of productivity enhancing tool in the area of HR, there are several HR activities that AI is heavily affecting. So as a review paper, we offer good a summary of what is going on there, and new tech workers like app-based platform workers or algorithm make technology generate new type of workers and new type of jobs and professions. So for instance, some jobs are being emerging at the intersection of AI and its use. So their role is to translate or making brokerage between the technologies the organization uses. And so new jobs and new technologies may have implications about how to manage them in the future. So our review may offer practitioners and policymakers to have nice current view of what's happening. But also we offer some cautionary tales or sometimes warnings about the misuse or overcompetence in these technologies. So for instance, as we have seen over the last 60 years, employees found reasons to resist against the use of technologies, and some more often than not, good reasons. And the history of so when new technology comes in, developers tend to be very optimistic, and sometimes they are 100% sure that those technologies will bring all the good things only. But history tells us when a new technology comes in, it may intensify the work, it may undermine employees' well-being, and also it may displace some of the jobs. That is actually happening with the advent of AI. So in which area that kind of thing is happening, our review can help practitioners and policymakers to find good resources to know more about those things. And we also found really interesting studies that says AI It doesn't need to be or there's some excessive fear may not be well substantiated. So, for instance, AI. There are multiple studies report that AI. People found good ways to work with AI rather than being replaced by them. So it seems we don't need to worry too much so that make wrong decisions against it. Maybe we can have more balanced view about what AI can do for us.